What's going on, y'all? I'm super hyped to show off yet another one of my custom regional forms for my ROM hack, Pokemon Sweltering Sun. If you're new to my channel and you don't know what Pokemon Sweltering Sun is, I highly encourage you to check out the description below. There is a link to a video that explains it more in depth. There's also a link to my Discord server where you can download and play 2.0 for yourself. It is out now, so you can download it and play it right now and play with all these sick new regional forms and all the other amazing things that Sweltering Sun has to offer. But yeah, I ended up making a Yeti themed Slaking. But before I get into, why I decided to do this and how they function in battle, I do want to have another disclaimer to check out the timestamps. There is a pretty it's basically 3 sections. So the first section is intro. Second section is going to be, me talking about the thought process behind making these regional forms, how I did it, all that type of stuff, like the aesthetic choices. All right, and like the thought process behind it. And then the final, longest section of the video is going to be me explaining in game what these Pokemon have to offer. And that'll be really fun, and that's probably gonna be the longest part of the video because that's gonna be me explaining all the cool new tools. I am actually currently using a Vigoroth, Alolan, Slakoth, and Vigoroth in my my run currently on stream, so you can go check that out as well if you're curious to see how they function. But with that out of the way, yeah, Alolan Slaking, very sick. Yeti inspiration is quite obvious, I hope. It's the shiny, but Vigoroth has a really cool little detail I will show off real quick in battle. I'll show them all in battle, but let me just switch my monitor around. And I'll show you what it looks like in battle because he's got a cool little detail on his back. I really love the way these guys turned out, all of them. I really just love them. He's got like the ice claws, he's got the snowflake pattern, he's got the icy colors, normal ice. I'll talk more about this in the gameplay section, but it's a type of combo that people are conditioned to think is bad, but in Pokemon Sweltering Sun, it's actually far from it. It's actually quite, a solid type combination because Ice now offers 4 new resistances. So it resists Ice, Ground, Flying, and Dragon. Not to mention you also gain that Ghost immunity, which is really nice and useful. And then, being 4 times weak to something in a ROM hack, all it means is that you can just have more opportunities to pivot around and switch into your checks and all that stuff, and it just gives you a lot more room to pivot around. So it's not nearly as debilitating as it would be in a competitive sense. And yeah, here is the Yeti Slaking. I love both. I don't know which one I like more between the Vigoroth and the Slaking. Y'all can let me know down below. I know people have different tastes, but I love the way this guy turned out. And I'll show off the Slakoth as well in a second. The Slakoth is also really cute. Sadly, I could not add a snowflake pattern to the Slakoth because of the way the texture is set up. It's just not really realistic for me to be able to add that pattern. But it was possible for Vigoroth, and it came out really good on Vigoroth, so I'm happy with that. And I can also show off them in Refresh, but first I'll show you the Slakoth. So the pre-evolutions have these icy claws. Like, I basically tried to get their claws to look like actual ice. So let me switch around the monitor. To get them to look like actual ice. So yeah, he looks pretty cute. I like the Slakoth a lot. And then Vigoroth obviously is super, energetic looking and cool. And then of course you have the Yeti themed Slaking. So he doesn't have any patterns because I don't think he needs it. I think he's better as a simple, just cool Yeti colors. And of course the in-battle changes are really important. That's the main reason I actually decided to do these regional forms. It was to give Pokemon that I found a bit boring or underwhelming nothing was underwhelming in Sweltering Sun because the main goal of the hack is to make every single Pokemon super fun to use and unique and strong. But I felt like they were kind of boring, or they could use something more interesting. And I also decided that the designs, left room for improvement. So I don't know. I think a Yeti Slaking is really cool for a regional form. Here's the shinies. The pre-evolutions are just purple. I thought it was just kind of a nice little, icy-esque color. But then the Slaking shiny I love. So obviously the fur shifts to like a black, which is really cool, like black ice, and also because he looks like a gorilla. And then his nose shifts a little bit, his scruff shifts a little bit, and then under eyes shifts a bit. But the main thing is also his skin changes from like this bluish gray to like, excuse me, like this like lighter gray, greenish blue gray. I don't know. I like the shiny a lot. And then the hooves that is nice and purple. So yeah, I can show off the shiny in battle, I guess, too. You can see the snowflake pattern. But that's really about it. I can show them in Refresh, actually. Look at his ass. He's so cute. Yeah, I love these guys, man. I really am happy with how they turned out. These are actually the first ones I made. I made them about a month ago. So they were not as difficult as some of the others, but they were still, it still takes time and effort to make these patterns look like legitimate, and even just the color swapping is a bit tedious with the textures, and it's a lot of it's a lot of work that goes into these, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. So I'll show off the Slaking, and then I'll pretty much be it for the showcase. I don't think there's too much else to show off. Oh, this is shiny, but yeah, I don't know. Thought process-wise, it was basically just I was just scrolling through the Pokédex of Sweltering Sun, and I was looking at mons that I think could use more, and I was like, you know what? I think a Yeti Slaking would be super dope. And this is one of 2 new ice regionals. I try not to go overboard with the ice type regionals because there's already plenty of them. There was already 2, Sandslash and Ninetales, but it fits to have a couple more. It's also an easy typing to kind of tack on to something with a recolor, especially mammalian mons. You can kind of just give them patterns and colors, and then they basically become ice type in that sense. So yeah, that's I'm going to conclude that part of the video, and I'm going to now let me actually make sure I have the right thing showing first before yeah, I actually have to get it open, don't I? Oh, it's already open. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I have something else open from when I was streaming earlier, but this doesn't really matter. I'll fix the yeah, it's a bit scuffed. It's okay, not a big deal. Oh, I just showed another one back, so it's fine. You guys will see them. I mean, they're all in my Discord server. You can see what they all look like right now, but yeah, let me hide the top Citra. Oh, that's the wrong Citra. Where's the other Citra I want to hide? Whatever, I'll just leave it on top. It doesn't matter. Yeah, let me zoom in a bit. There we go, that looks better. Okay, and now I can crop it down. Maybe make it taller. Hold on. How do I want to do this? I did not think this through, did I? It's whatever. Right? You guys can see the whole thing here this way. Good enough, alright? It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to show off what they are like in terms of move pool and stats and all that fun stuff. I guess I can just do that. That's good enough. Alright, that's good enough. You guys get the idea, okay? So, yeah, they're really awesome. So, something, how do I get into this? Hustle. Hustle is the first thing I want to address because they no longer have Truant, alright? Slaking no longer has Truant. He has 2 actually great abilities, and part of the joy of Sweltering Sun is every single Pokemon is balanced to have 2 great abilities that they can switch between whenever they want with an infinite usability castle. So the game is the difficulty is balanced around, especially if you're playing with a set team, aka team locked. You can overcome a lot of the difficulties with really any 6 Pokemon of your picking, as long as you utilize instant EV training, which you get access to, all that the infinite ability capsules, as well as all of the crazy move buffs and changes that exist in this game. There are a lot of them. They can be overwhelming. There's a whole ass sheet here that you can check out, and it's all got links to all the little sections, and you can check out what all the moves do. Really important. But as for Hustle, so that's an ability that a lot of people are also conditioned to think is bad, but it's actually really good in Sweltering Sun for dozens of reasons. So first off, priority moves. Do not miss with Hustle. So moves like Stab Fake Out, Stab Ice Shard, you got Sucker Punch, First Impression. Those moves will not miss. So you don't have to worry about Hustle with those, and you still get the 50% power boost. So 110 base attack with Hustle is already incredibly powerful, let alone 160 base attack. 160 base attack with Hustle is like absolutely massive levels of power. Very, very strong Pokemon. He's also got really good bulk, especially considering the fact that Ice actually has resistances. Like I said earlier in the video, maybe you weren't listening to that section of the video, but as you can see on screen, Ice does have actual resistances now, so it actually has defensive utility. And that's really fun, and it helps for pivoting around. Even if you do have that 4 times weakness that a lot of people tend to hyperfixate on, doesn't really make a big deal. But yeah, Hustle, other buffs for Hustle, tons of other moves won't miss. So notable ones in this guy's learn set is Avalanche. That is no longer negative priority, so basically it's 70 base power, it won't miss. So with Hustle, that's essentially a 105 base power Ice type move. Meanwhile, something like Icicle Crash is 110 in this game, but Icicle Crash can miss while Avalanche can't. Not to mention, Avalanche will double in power if you moved last, so on something bulkier like Slaking, you can definitely take advantage of the Avalanche. Unburden is also massively buffed in this game, not the mechanic of itself, but the way that it works is buffed because of the item Quick Claw. So I buffed and changed quite a few items in this game, but the biggest ones are Eject Button and Quick Claw. They completely shake up the entire way the game is played. Quick Claw essentially becoming a single-use, whenever you want to use it, item, but it always triggers, so it's consumable. So you'll get the Unburden boost. You can also use stuff like Power Herb Icebreaker, Icebreaker being a very powerful 2-turn ice move, which you can definitely take advantage of. That also won't miss with Hustle, by the way, so you can use Icebreaker with Hustle and deal some, like, like, you know, ridiculous damage and, you know, kill even probably resisted Pokemon with that. Granted, it only has 1 PP, so you can only use that once. It's basically like a Z move because the Ice Z move is later in the game, so that's pretty cool. And there's so many fun options to cover here. Slush Rush is obviously really fun to use. There are quite a few Snow Warning Mons, not to mention Hail itself is a priority move, so it actually bypasses a lot of the taunt lead Pokemon in this hack. The Pokemon that have Taunt as the lead to like stop you from trying to set up. You can actually set up Hail pretty reliably against those Mons, and you can get up Roar Veil too if you want to with another Mon, and then you can like Eject Button or Parting Shot into your Slaking and, you know, go crazy there. The reason Vigoroth doesn't have Parting Shot, obviously, Vigoroth doesn't have Slush Rush. I don't know why I said Parting Shot. Is because it just isn't that good on him. He's already fast. Naturally, I don't think he needs it. I think Unburden's a lot more fun. Obviously, I mean, that sounds kind of misleading because Unburden also gives you speed, but I just think it's cooler because the beauty of Slush Rush and Slaking is like you outspeed everything, but it's like higher commitment. Meanwhile, Unburden is a lot lower commitment, which means it's more worth using on Vigoroth, while Slaking, it's worth putting in the commitment to get the Slush Rush up if you want to get it off. However, I'm using one on my stream run right now, and I feel like I won't be using Slush Rush too often. It really depends on your team dynamic, your specific play style, the type of Nuzlocke variant you're even doing in the first place. All that stuff will change up how you use this Mon. And that's the beauty of Sweltering Sun. Every single Pokemon can be used in so many different ways. You get tons of coverage, tons of great utility as well. Obviously, you get the typical, you know, Slack Off, you know, Parting Shot. Most Pokemon get that in this ROM hack. You get good setup. You get Haze, which is great for Totem Pokemon in this game. Battle Cry is also great for Totems and just to have in general. It drops attack and special attack by -2. You get, you know, some nice defensive setup options. Fling. I didn't mention Fling yet. Fling is super fun on these Pokemon with Hustle. Fling is another move that just can't miss. There's a whole list of them. And you can also just tell in-game because I changed the descriptions. I mean, I changed the descriptions for every single move change in this game, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Super fun. I'm losing my train of thought. Wake Up Slap, that's another move that can't miss. It's kind of similar to Fake Out. It's 1 PP. You can use it whenever you want, though. Meanwhile, Fake Out can only be used when you first switch it in. But Fake Out is obviously like an incredible move on these guys with Hustle and that stab, especially on Slaking, man. That 160 attack, Fake Out, when you pair that with the infinite use eject button on like a bulky or Mon, you can get some kills, which is why it only has 5 PP, but it's still a really good move to have, especially when it's that strong. These guys are just would be an absolute blast to use. You've also got like stuff like Ice Hammer and Double Edge. Ice Hammer is like recoil, basically like Ice type Double Edge. So you got tons of powerful physical Ice Stab outside of, you know, your priority Ice Shard and your, you know, your typical Ice Punches and stuff. You've got tons of new powerful Ice Stab options in this game. Yeah, just an absolute beautiful Pokemon to use. I'm using one right now. Like I said, you can go check that out. Slack Off is also great. It's got really good bulk for early game. It's pretty strong for early game. It's got nice headbutt, nice Ice Shard, you know, combo there. I actually used Entrainment Truant quite a bit in my team locked around. You can go check that out. I actually used quite a few of the early game bosses with Entrainment plus Truant plus like a workup Pokemon. You can get a lot of leverage out of that. So that's really fun to try out. And Metabolism essentially functions like Cheek Pouch, so you'll get HP for switching in if you use like Key Berry or like Moringa Berry. You switch in and you get your berry and you get your healing as well. It's really nice to have. Yeah, just super fun Mons, man. Even for Hala, like you might think they're not that good for Hala, but they are quite good. I mean, you guys can see it firsthand in my stream run. I could have even got more leverage out of them if I wanted to, but yeah. Very fun Pokemon. I'm going to try to end it off there. I don't want these to go on too long, but you can check out what all these moves all do in the Google Sheet down below. You can check out all these awesome changes for yourself and look at all the other Pokemon as well. So I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you watched this far into the video. Shout out to you. Comment, I don't know, comment Unburden down below in the comments if you watched this far in the videos. Last time nobody did, so I don't know if y'all listened this far in, but yeah. Appreciate whoever did. Appreciate everybody. I'm excited to show off more. Yeah. Peace.